Also, I mean, obviously the singers are just beautiful and wonderful today, but these pianists have been fantastic. So, thank you. Go back there. So, does anyone have any questions at all? Yes? Yes?
You spoke so much today about finding the truth in your characters and the music. So my question is two parts. One, when you're studying a role, how do you go about finding that truth? And then two, when it comes time to perform, how do you trust the decisions that you make?
Okay, good questions. Did everyone hear it? No. How do you find the truth in the way you find the truth in your roles? How do you go about doing that? How do I go about doing that? And then secondly, how do you trust that your choices are in fact good ones? Is that about right? Okay. First, how I go about doing it, obviously you do all the woodshedding, all the work. You learn it, if you translate it, you make sure you know what you're saying, you make sure you know what is said to me, what was said to you, you make sure you know the circumstance, you get as much information as you possibly can absorb on the context of what you're saying. Obviously you work it in vocally, you work it musically, you work it stylistically. Now when that's all out of the way and you know what you're saying, and it's only when you really know what you're saying and what's being said to you that you can figure out what you're saying, what does it mean to you? I said this earlier. Yes, you know that's what that means. What does it mean to you? In other words, we don't go through life saying and expressing ourselves and not have an idea of what it means to us. We know, we infuse everything with feeling and inflection. So you have to do that. And what's difficult is we don't go walking through life singing necessarily, but we're speaking through the voice, and we get the wonderful rich palette of music and vocal color to bring that to life. So it's an added tool, it shouldn't be detracting. So you're speaking, you say something, so you make sure that you know what it means to you, quite simply. What does that phrase mean to you? Does that make sense for everyone? How do you know you trust it? By the time, hopefully you're in performance, you've exercised, what ideas work and what don't in the context of the production, in the context of the materials around you, the ingredients around you, your fellow colleagues, your director, your conductor. That's the beauty and magic of this incredibly opulent art form, is when all these things collide and you get this magical, unique performance of the 4 billionth performance of, La Bohème. And why is this one different? Why is it different? Because you decided what that phrase meant to you. And no one has authority over your heart and soul but you. And you have to infuse it. You must infuse it. You get to infuse it in every moment. I feel like Susie Ormond right now somehow. Do I sound like her? I feel like, anyway. Are there any other questions? Yeah.
Well, I think you really showed that you bring a lot when you go to work on a new production, just by the way that you work with everyone. But what I'm wondering about is, what have you done if what you've brought to the table and the conductor or the director or your colleagues have brought to the table maybe doesn't agree? How do you
I think disagreement creates a very rich interpretive basis, frankly. I think agreement can be actually detrimental in an artistic forum. Disagreement will force me to consider, expressing that phrase in an entirely different way. It'll force me. It'll force the director to think of that moment in an entirely different, manner and fashion. There has to be an agreement. And what I do insist upon is that I believe it by the time I'm up there living it. Since I'm walking it, I'm living it, I'm singing it, I'm taking that breath, I'm singing that phrase, I'm, whipping that guy or being jumped on and, sorry, I'm in Pagliacci mode, I'm being very abused up there. But all that, I have to believe every moment. So, but it's actually kind of exciting when there's no, I don't think it's like this, I think it's like that. And that has happened to me a lot in Butterfly, actually. I'd have very specific ideas, and the director would say to me, oh, I hadn't really thought of that moment that way. And most, I say 99%, welcome the discussion and the collaboration. And and then it makes it a far more magical experience for performers and audience alike. Any other questions at all? Not a one. Oh, he's got one more. A follow-up.
Actually, on a completely different topic. I'm not sure if you'll want to speak to this or not, but I was wondering, what has it been like to be publicly queer throughout your opera career?
Publicly queer. Do we use that word? Sorry?
I said we do in our generation.
Yes, no, I know. I have found, first of all, this is my wife, Beth Clayton, everyone. I have found that what was non-negotiable for me, I learned that kind of early on, is not being honest about who I am. I felt like it would not just diminish my personal life, it would also infringe upon my artistic choices. It would put a level of dishonesty that I don't think is true to me. I think everyone's choice is just that. You know, every individual has to make the choice for themselves. But for me, I'm not going to behave in a manner that shows shame about the proudest aspect of my life. All right, is that good? You good? Thank you. Thank you. If there are no more questions, then see you at the opera. Thank you.